What's good, everybody? What's good? What's good? I'm the G with a PhD, and you're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. The place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up, no chaser. Now, I want to know something, man. Like, I just got a question to ask you. Put a number 1 in the chat if you heard the intro music. Not the countdown, but the cheesy talk show music that I used on the intro. If you heard that, with the applause and all that. Put a one if you heard that. Please put a 1 in the chat if you heard that. And while I'm getting to it, or while y'all get to that, I am going to give a shout out to all of my members, and I'm going to give them some fanfare if I can. Yes, I want to give a shout out to Leroy Honeycutt. Welcome back home, baby. MLR, Julius Ferguson, Charles Rogers, Black Dog, Brother Love, Ryan Jackson, Infamous Chillin', Randall, Universal 178, Blacksword, 404, Rashid Barnes, Aaron Smith, The Walt Diddy Show, DH, C-Truth, The Revelator, Gold Professor, The Nameless Protagonist, Black Pill Ned Stark, Arthur Unknown, Odd Collard, Roderick Jackson, Dr. Tiasan Johnson, Damon Harris, Brian Williams, Camp Low, Nicholas Lobin, Isa Abdul Sair, Kalan Jakala, Sherrod Martin, Ricky Dawson, NEU, Cedric Bowman, Truth 7360, BK Born Shaheed, James Washington, Hostile Adept, Seven Coast Dojo, Ronan Martin, Shop Talk Live, WPR1, Rogish the Billmonger, I Care, Force Windu, Lady Miss Thing Green, BGS Ibmore, and Marvin Battle Jr. Thank you so much for investing in the Green Gorilla channel. Thank you for investing in the Green Gorilla channel. Every bit helps. Also, if you are inquiring about how to become a member of the Green Gorilla channel, well, here's how. What's good, everybody? I'm the G with a PhD, and you're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel, the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up, no chaser. Today, I want to introduce you to my new membership program that consists of 5 levels where you can invest in the Green Gorilla channel on a monthly basis and receive level-specific perks. Memberships are special because they improve the quality of the content of the channel and will help me to be able to keep the channel going. Now, to participate in the Green Gorilla channel membership program, all you have to do is hit the join button, which is located right next to the subscribe button on my channel page. Now, for all of my subscribers who decide not to participate in my membership program, nothing will change. The content will keep coming the way it always has. Thanks for watching, and be careful out here, people. Bless. So that's how you become a member of the Green Gorilla channel. Now, before I proceed any further, I'd like to issue a trigger warning. Here on the Green Gorilla channel, we keep it straight up, no chaser. So, you know, if you got virgin ears, if you don't want to hear any F-bombs, any S-words, any damns, you know, if you don't want to hear profanity, I suggest you exit stage left right now, because every now and then I will go into a rant. And when I go into a rant, I'll start cursing. And when I go into a rant and start cursing, sometimes I just can't stop. Okay? So I'm just letting you know we do it straight up, no chaser here. And if those are things that you don't want to hear, you feel like that's less than respectable, then I encourage you to exit. Having said all that, you know, the last time I was on the show, man, I swear to God, man, I am not kidding you, man. I thought that I had all of my effects up and that I was making noise. I was dropping bombs, hitting buzzer sounds and everything. And that's yesterday. Man, I wasn't making a noise at all, man. I swear to God, I was dropping bombs and shit like this. I swear to God, I thought I was making all kind of noise, man. I wasn't making any noise at all. So that's, screwed up, man. That's crazy, man. But make sure, man, y'all hit the like button. Please share the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you can't become a member of the channel. And please support the channel if you can. The channel always could use a good amount of support. And if you don't know, I'm going to put all of the information that you need to know right now that can help you to, if you would so prefer, to contribute towards the Green Gorilla channel. So there you go. But before I get started, I got a segment that I want to take care of. Oh, and before I get to that, I want to give a shout out to Leroy Honeycutt for becoming a member of the channel again. Perhaps he let his membership lapse. That's all to the good. We welcome you back, my brother. Also, I want to give a shout out to another new member of the channel, Green Gorilla channel, Julius Ferguson. Welcome, my brother. Thank you for your contribution to the Green Gorilla channel. Thank you. Also, I want to give a shout out to Sherrod Martin. Thank you for your contribution, sir. I really appreciate that. Thank you, sir, for the donation. I really appreciate it. And also, I have to give a shout out to Ab Media. Thank you, sir, for becoming a member of the Green Gorilla channel. Now, before I get started, though, man, what I would like to do, I would like to do a new segment, man. I'm going to bring y'all the news, man. So, you know how I do around here, man. I got to have an opening segment and get dramatic about it all. So, give me a break, and we'll be right to it. So, here's the intro. So we're back. You're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel, the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up no chaser. And here's my news segment. Well, first of all, I want to talk about Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne met with Donald Trump in the past few days, and he's getting people upset everywhere for having done so. We know already that Ice Cube had let people know that he had met with some officials from Trump's camp with this contract with Black America. But he also stated that he didn't necessarily endorse Trump as much as he was trying to ensure that whoever is in power is going to take, into consideration the demands of people in the black community. So, according to Ice Cube, he's trying to usher in a bipartisan plan, a plan that both parties can take a gander and a look at and interpolate into their various agendas, because black people, they want something for their vote. But I mean, damn, Lil Wayne just came out and said, I'm voting for this man. Which is cool. I mean, anybody can vote for who they want. It's America, right? You can vote for who you want to vote for. You'd be a fool not to vote for who you want to vote for in this political climate, because it seems like everybody's going for themselves. I had a show last night. I tried to warn you about where the country is going, about what democracy actually is, about what we need to be doing as a demographic in order to try to ensure that our own concerns and our own needs are addressed. But that's just something in the news. Next up, again, talking about Ice Cube. In a recent Newsweek article, Ice Cube basically tells his critics, and he has a lot of critics. A lot of people have been coming after him. I've said a lot about it, so I won't go in depth about it. But Ice Cube tells his critics not to clump him in with rappers like Lil Wayne, Waka Flocka, and some other people who've come out and endorsed Trump and who've expressed that they've had a discussion with Trump, because he's consulted the experts. And he has consulted with quite a few people whom help him develop his contract with Black America. So it's not just some rapper mogul sitting in his attic or sitting in his basement by himself developing these plans. He's worked with Claude Anderson. He's worked with Derek Hamilton. He's I think Darity. But so there's a few people that he's worked with to help him develop this plan. He hasn't done it all by himself and all alone. So he's saying that when he's going into the enemy or behind enemy lines, he's come with some sort of preparation. He's not just going in blind so that he can be manipulated and used by the powers that be. So next up, my man Jermaine Dupri. Again, we talked about how everyone is characterizing rappers as being, especially black male rappers, as being somehow regressive, primarily because they're supporting Trump, or they're going in a direction different than that established by the democracy, the path cut out by the democracy. So black men are daring to step up and say things and to take actions of their own. So recently, Jermaine Dupri had the opportunity to have a conversation with Kamala Harris, and he asked her a really tough question. Primarily, he asked her a question about why is it that you locked a whole bunch of brothers up? I mean, you want us to vote for you now, but you have a troubling record as it pertains to the mass incarceration of black men. And instead of really actually answering the question up front, she dodged it. She walked it back. She evaded it. She equivocated. I mean, let's just be frank. The woman was a mass incarceration attorney general. That's what she was. That's what she did. So it was a great question because it exposed, the way that she handled criminal justice. It just is what it is. So black men are stepping up and they're asking hard questions, and they're not taking off the gloves because the candidate is a woman. And they better not, because if women are in power, they have to be accountable for the power that they have. It just goes with the territory. There's no more playing nice. If you're going to be a leader, then you have to be the kind of leader that's able to handle tough questions. And you can't just revert to saying that because you're being asked a hard question, it's misogyny. That's the banana in the tail bite. We ain't falling for that. Julius Ferguson, thank you so much for your kind donation, sir. I see you out there in the chat. I appreciate that, my brother. Thank you. Next up on the agenda or in the news, the rapper and singer Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez finally comes out on Instagram and he tells his side of the story. And for the most part, I mean, Tory Lanez is saying pretty much what I've been saying all along. I mean, who knows what happened except for the people who were there at the scene in which whatever did happen, happened. But ultimately, Tory Lanez is like, well, damn, hold on, wait a minute. You mean you were seen by paramedics and they have some trouble ascertaining whether or not you were shot? Sounds kind of fishy. These kind of people do this kind of work all day, every day. How did they not know you were shot? Oh, you mean the people in the emergency room, they also don't have any knowledge whether or not you were shot? Hmm. Wow. Seems pretty puzzling, huh? Also, the question becomes, well, you're in a room where you have to have a surgical operation to remove a bullet from your foot. Okay, well, explain to me how you're taking a picture in an emergency room, or how you take. Well, you can take a picture in an emergency room, but you can't take a picture in a surgery room. So how are you able to fulfill all of this? This the media requirements. I mean, you got your PR right. How are you able to do all of this when these kind of pictures they have to remain, just in some sense confidential. You can't reveal this kind of stuff to the public. And if you're shot, who the fuck is there taking the pictures? You? If you're in pain, doubled over because you've been shot in your foot, you mean you're gonna stop to take pictures of your foot after you've been shot and you're a woman? Come on, man. I'm just saying. I can't say what happened. I really don't know. And then also, as I said before, you mean to tell me you got shot, you got out the car, and you got back in the car after getting shot? Look, I'm not a woman, okay? But I'm a man, okay? If I get shot, the last thing I'm going to do is go back to the point of origin at which I got shot. And also, the last thing I'm going to do, if I'm a woman, is go back and then try to protect the very person who fucking shot me. It's one thing to protect somebody if y'all into a fight, but it's another thing altogether to protect somebody who just shot your ass. Pop, 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 pop. Who's going to go back to somebody popping them? It just sounds fishy to me. That's all I can say. What's up, Crimson Cure? How you doing out there? Ebo Sosa, thank you so much for the donation, kind sir. I really appreciate your generosity this evening. So, we'll find out more about Tory Lanez later. Not in this show, but as we progress through, time, we'll get more and more information, and I'll be here to cover it. Next on the agenda here is my man 50 Cent. Recently, 50 Cent made a statement in Variety magazine, and ultimately what he said was that cancel culture targets heterosexual men as they are now more inferior. And I couldn't agree with 50 Cent more here. In actuality, all I've been trying to tell you guys is that cancel culture, for the most part, is an extension of fourth wave feminism, which basically takes technology and social media and they weaponize it. So I've done a video on the 5 stages of feminism, the 5 waves of feminism. Go check that video out if you want to gain some more information about it. But ultimately, cancel culture like Me Too, Believe Her, all of that kind of stuff, all of that was developed as means by which to punish men. Because cancellation is nothing more than punishment. That's what it is. And you punish people by shaming them in the public. And also what that does is it makes it so that if you have any significant ties to corporate America, or if you have any significant ties to the military or the government, or you have a contract, that somehow you can lose that, as people will thumb their noses at you and turn their backs on you. So that's the point of it all. Shame, derision, and the creation of social death. Thank you, MLR, for your kind donation, sir. I see you out there. Thank you so much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a short break, and we're going to get back into the meat of what everybody came here for, which is the Black Knights of the democracy. So when I come back from this commercial break, we'll get right into it. Yes, we are back. I'm the G with a PhD, and of course, you're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel, the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up, no chaser. So if you're looking to make a cash donation, you can hit me up at Cash App. For the most part, my Cash App is $G with a PhD. I just dropped it in the chat. So thank you so much for inquiring about how to make a donation. And I also want to give a shout out to my brother Ardell. Thank you so much, sir, for having provided a cash donation tonight. Thank you so much. And let's just get right into this, man. So what I want to do is talk about the black knights of the Gynocracy. And the black knights of the Gynocracy are a group of people who will go to any end. They will go to great lengths to defend the Gynocracy, which for the most part is female rule. We already know that women have absolute power over the life of children in the black community. That's gynocratic. A woman at any point in time can leave her husband or leave whoever she's cohabitating with and take the children with her. Now, of course, a man, if he's got money and if he knows what his rights are, he can go to court and then he can get visitation rights or he can even get joint custody. But for the most part, he's going to live life as an uncle daddy from there on in, because she's going to have the ball in her court, because the courts are going to look after what they say is the best interest of the child. And most often from the ages of infancy on up to 16 years of age, they're going to determine, the court that is, most often, unless the woman has done something egregious or something that is ostentatiously harmful to the child, then she's going to be able to have, for the most part, primary custody of that child. It just is what it is, fellas. That's the territory. It goes with it, man. It just is what it is. So not only do they have that kind of power, but increasingly, they've come to have power in the court of public opinion. And there are a group of men who will defend these women and will not be critical of them in any way. They have adopted fully and wholeheartedly the ideal that there is something fundamentally flawed about themselves, and that they actually are what these women say that they are. They're toxic, they're patriarchal, that they are homophobic, that they are, seeking to gain power. So let me just say this, man, and I've told you on many occasions, I'm going to tell you again. The playbook of black feminism is very thin. There's not a lot to it. You're going to be called heteronormative, which means that you're homophobic. You're going to be called sexist, which means that you're patriarchal. You can't be called racist. So what you are going to be called is somebody who's seeking to imitate a white man. So you want to be, if you can't beat the white man, you want to be like the white man. And then lastly, you're going to be characterized as somebody who's trying to attain the American dream by means of capital attainment. Meaning that, you see success in terms of having a lot of cash or a lot of money like white men. So that's what they got. Or if they don't tell you that, they're also going to say that you are regressive because you're violent, you're a rapist, and you abuse women. So that's all they have right there. They got the claim that you want to imitate white men, you're heteronormative, which means you're homophobic, you're sexist and patriarchal, and you're trying to be successful in the same way that white people are through capitalism. Other than that, you're a rapist and an abuser. That's it. You won't see anything else other than that. And because the knights of the Gynocracy are nothing more than field hands, they're nothing but drones, they're not going to say anything different than what their puppet masters are going to tell them either. So every time you come into contact with one of the black knights of the Gynocracy, don't expect to hear anything any different. Which is why I want to talk to you about an event that took place yesterday, hosted by none other than the head mistress herself, Kimberly Crenshaw, the creator of the ideal and the term intersectionality. Okay? So I don't have a graphic or a picture of Kimberly Crenshaw, but I do have a picture of the person who hosted this event. The event was hosted by an individual by the name of Luke Charles Harris, associate professor of law at Vassar College. Okay? So he's the one that moderated the entirety of the event. And the event was designed to demonstrate to black men that if they were to vote for Trump, then guess what they are? They're being patriarchal, they're being misogynistic or engaging in misogynoir in relation or as it pertains to black politics. So there were a few people there at this event. You had Wade Davis. For some reason, the guy named Harry Edwards did not show. So he was not part of the event. Okay? But again, Luke Charles Harris was the person that I just exposed you to. Okay? Then you have an individual by the name of Kiese Lehman, and then you have another individual by the name of Alvin Starks. So ultimately, what they did was they hosted a Zoom event that was supposed to simulate black men going to a barbershop so that they could talk frankly and freely and openly about black politics and about how black men can't resist. Like a moth to a flame, all they ever want to do. Like butter to popcorn. Like a gnat to a dog's ass. That all black men want to do is be patriarchal, misogynistic, homophobic, and engage in regressive politics. So let's talk about the principal players of the event. And I'm not going to show footage of the event because I don't want to violate any copyright laws as it pertains to these particular people. But I am going to recount what it is that they said. And I'm going to be a little bit critical as I go through what they have said. And it's not going to take a long time. Okay? It's a Friday night. I don't see me being here any more than an hour. But, you know, I can go off on a rant, and then it could last for an extended period of time. So it is what it is. But let's just go through it, okay? So, again, Luke Charles Harris, law professor at Vassar College. He moderates the conversation, and he really doesn't add much to the conversation. All he does is try to guide the conversation. And he tries to direct questions to the people whom I just mentioned earlier who are on this list, who are going to demonstrate to the best of their knowledge that somehow black men are patriarchal and engage in misogynoir as it pertains to black politics. And they give reasons why they think this is the case. And I told you, they don't have anything different than what I've already told you. If you hear it, it's just going to be modularly different. It's going to be modally different, but there's not going to be any substantive changes in what they say. Okay? Now, the first person who has issued a critique about black men in politics is an individual by the name of Wade Davis. I don't know if you know him. Wade Davis is a former NFL player. You ever heard of Wade Davis? Any of you guys that watch football, do you know who he played for? Used to be in the NFL. I'm waiting to see if somebody can tell me who he played for. Don't look it up on your computer, man. Don't cheat. Y'all don't know. While y'all figuring that out, man, I want to shout out to Grinch, man. Word up, Grinch. Thank you for the cash donation, my brother. I appreciate that, dog. And Leroy Honeycutt, man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you, sir, for your donation, bro. I really appreciate that, man. I ain't seen you in a minute, man. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't seen both of y'all in a minute, man. You know. But anyway, man, dude used to play for the Tennessee Titans, bro. And as you can look at him, he was a wide receiver, or he played on special teams. But he played in the NFL. Okay, so ultimately he has something to say about black men in politics and why he thinks that black male politics is so regressive. So what does Wade Davis say? Okay, that's another picture of Wade Davis. What does he say? He says, many black men are in search of power. Power. Meaning that they want to, I guess, lead. What is power? What do you mean by power, though? I hear people say that quite often, and I don't know what it is that they mean by that. Power. You mean possession of control, authority, or influence over others? A nation that has influence among other nations, a foreign power, the ability to act or produce an effect that is in your power to change things. Like, what do you mean by power? He really didn't define it. But I assume, though, that what he means is the possession of control, authority, or influence over others. Now, you know what's funny about this is that it's just really, really funny, right? The climbing up the ladder of power or the acquisition of power is never questioned as it pertains to any other demographic other than black men. I mean, of course, white men get criticized, but they already have power. They've got it. It lies in their hands. But for black men to want the acquisition of power, like, why can't they have it? I mean, should they look to be powerless? I mean, do you think black men should sit on their asses, on their hands, and seek not to gain power within the context of the world? Like, I don't get it. So black men are in search of power. I mean, so to me, that when he starts off saying this, it's almost as if to say what? Like, what black men should not do so? They should strive to be, like limp noodles in the world, like a bowl of ramen noodles just laying limp. That's what black men should be doing. Should they not try to exercise agency? Should they not try to grow into or be as functional as they possibly can be and bloom arrogantly in the world? Because I thought that every organism is striving to be the best that it can be within the context of the kind of organism that it is. So an eagle should be able to fly and should be able to hunt with keen eyesight arrogantly. A lion should be able to prowl around the jungle and be a king of the jungle and do what lions do in terms of being the king of the jungle arrogantly. So what do you want black men to do? To be limp noodles? I just don't get it. Thank you, Black Peel Ned Start. Thank you for the contribution, my brother. I appreciate that. Also, okay, yeah, that's the only person that just dropped me off. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. So you should be striving to be the best version of yourself that you could possibly be, so that you are acknowledged and recognized as being excellent among the members of your kind. That's what everything that is living should be striving to do or to be. You shouldn't be striving for mediocrity. So cut it out. The next thing he says, power is not as good as love. and it will not make you feel valued or render you visible. Huh? I'm just saying to myself, power is not as good as love. Like, what are you talking about? Love from who? What kind of love? Because you already know that there's different kinds of love, just as there are different kinds of power. You can have power to do something or have agency to do something and not necessarily have power over people such that you're being oppressive and controlling over people. Just because you have agency doesn't necessarily mean that you're using that agency in an oppressive and a dominating way. Also, what kind of love are you talking about? Are you talking about erotic love? Or are you talking about filial love? Like the kind of love that exists between brothers? Or are you talking about agape love? Like, what kind of love are you talking about? Because he's not really expressing it in a way that is concise and clear. But, it is what it is. But yes, this is what he says. Not only does he say that, he says that members of the LGBTQ community who are black or black first. They're not LGBTQ first and then secondly black, but they're first black and secondly LGBTQ. And then that brings him to argue that emasculation is not a thing that is something that is external or that comes from outside of you, but something that is internal. And he says that those who discuss it are fragile. And they're worried about the wrong thing. Now, I don't know what you know, but I don't know, man. Think about it like this. If you are an African slave and the master takes you in front of a whole crowd of black folks on the plantation, spits in his hand, places it over his penis, and sticks it in your anus when you don't want that to happen, sounds like to me that's some emasculation going on right there. But hey, maybe to some people it's not. I don't know. Sounds like emasculation to me. Maybe if you are a heterosexual man and you're David Chappelle and you got a group of people who are producers of the show and they come in and they talk to you for maybe 15 to 20 to 30 to 40 minutes to try to get you to wear a fucking dress, sounds like some emasculation to me. And it sounds like something that is external. Now, it's one thing if you decide to be open to being gay and to accept it. And it's another thing for somebody from outside to take their control or their power and to exploit you, to manipulate you, and to coerce you into doing something you don't want to do. That is, in fact, emasculating. Because it's taking power away from you. It's taking agency away from you. So nobody wants anybody to be able to do that to them. So yes, there is such a thing as outward or external emasculation. Sorry, buddy. You just didn't do your right. You didn't put your thinking cap on right there, buddy. And then the last thing he says is, you are copying white masculinity and still behaving like a boy. No, I kid you not, he says those words. The black men who talk about emasculation really are actually trying to imitate whiteness. In particular, they're trying to emulate white masculinity and that they're still boys. Really? Come on, man. Your whole presentation to me was a great big fail, sir. I'm sorry, but you just didn't hit the mark. It was sad, bro. Look, man, my response to this guy here, man, would be, look, anybody who is in the world who's alive ought to be in search of power. Power to be able to exercise agency to the greatest extent possible, such that they can flourish, function, and thrive in whatever environment they're in. Every human being should be striving to do so. And it has nothing to do with controlling other people. And for the most part, black men do not desire, as far as I know, I haven't come into a lot of into contact with a lot of black men that want to have whips in their hands and put people in shackles and chains and order them about to and fro. Black men just want to live like everybody else wants to live and want to have a little bit of disposable income to enjoy the one shot at life that you have and to not suffer and to be made to be humiliated as you traverse through that one life that you have. Bottom line. And as it pertains to love, you can't have any love if you don't have anything to offer and you're not perceived as somebody who's functioning and thriving, because the love you get is going to be an attenuated kind of love. It's not going to be a real kind of love. And then who knows though, sometimes, and we haven't even began to explore this or even talk or discuss it, everybody who says they love you don't necessarily love you. Huh? I talked about this before, because you know.
You keep it real with your dog no matter what. Preach. Same bitch decline she love you, she'll set you up. Preach. You keep it real with your dog no matter what. Preach. Same bitch decline she love you.
Just because somebody say they love you don't mean they love you. But, you know, I digress. On to the next Black Knight. Meet Mr. Alvin Starks, Senior Program Officer of the Open Society Foundation. Okay? Now, let me just say this, man. It's not about what people look like. It's not about people's sexuality and none of that. Okay? But my assumption is that most of these guys here are gay. Okay? And I've said this before. I think a lot of these guys are painting themselves into an intellectual corner, an ideological corner, because they got a bone to pick with black men because they were bullied or not made to fit in like they really wanted to fit in when they were younger. But hey, man, how many of y'all were bullied? Shit, I was bullied quite often when I was a kid. I got over the shit, man. Oh, I guess gay people, they're not bullies at all. Although, when it comes to lesbian relationships, there's more domestic violence there than damn near anywhere else or amongst any other kind of couples. I guess that's just the kind of power it gives without trying to dominate. But I digress. So, what does Mr. Alvin Starks has to say about, black men, heterosexual or straight black men doing this meeting, this barbershop meeting? Well, what does Alvin Starks say? Well, he says that Trump is a charlatan and a brand. And there's nothing really controversial right there. I agree with him. Trump is a charlatan and a brand. Everybody knows that this man was a television actor, and before that, he was a media and a hotel and resort and leisure industry captain. That's what he was. Bottom line, his father came into money through fraud, and more than likely, Donald Trump had engagement with many fraudulent actors as he, kind of moved his way through the business world. Okay, but he's not the only one. It's not surprising. It's not, something that would, it's not something that wouldn't be expected of those who have money and those who have wealth and affluence. But so what? So okay, so he's a charlatan. Okay, Okay, and what's next? He is seducing black men into his brand through toxic masculinity, misogyny, and bravado. He's seducing black men into his brand through masculinity, misogyny, and bravado. You know what? It is funny to me that these guys, they actually believe their own shit that's coming out of their mouths. But here's the deal. You people are not clairvoyant. You can't read minds. You don't know the reasons black men have for going over to Trump or the voting or for voting conservative unless you talk to them. You don't know what their beliefs are, nor do you know what their desires are. Anybody that claims to know what somebody's thoughts are, what their beliefs are, what their desires are, they're omniscient, clairvoyant. They're like the oracle in the fucking Matrix. Who the fuck made y'all? Who gave y'all the power of ESP? You got extrasensory perception or something? I need some of that shit. I told you I'm gonna start taking these motherfuckers, man, to the lotto with me, man. Shit, since you know every goddamn thing, I need to take you to the lotto with me. You know exactly what people's motivations, their beliefs are, and what their reasons for doing things are. But quite frankly, look, the reason black men are going to the Republican side of politics is because you've alienated black men from the Democratic Party and from having conversations with you all. Because who wants to have a conversation with someone who already knows what somebody thinks before they even engage in the conversation? Who the fuck wants to do that? You already know my motivations and what I think before I tell you. That sounds like you arguing with a person you'll never be able to reach consensus with. You'll never be able to have reconciliation with a group of people who are ideologically committed, categorically committed to you wanting to be like something you don't even think you are or even think about on a day-to-day motherfucking basis. I mean, what do you actually expect for black men to do? Do you expect us to be like walking around every day like telling women, black women,
not only will I do it for you, yes, I'll do it for you.
I mean, come on, man. Come on. But not only does he say that, then he goes on to say, black men desire to imitate white men and white supremacy, but they cannot access it. They can never have it. Now, this is just the most puzzling shit to me in the world. I just don't understand it. I don't get it. I'm FUBAR about it, which means that I'm fucked up beyond all recognition when it comes to this issue. First of all, you're telling us that we want to be like something or someone or a group of people. I've never, personally, I've seen men imitate whiteness, and I've seen other men look at them with malcontent and disdain. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You Oreo looking motherfucker? You coon? That's what I see people saying, man. Where I'm from. We be on the block like, who is this fucking cornball trying to imitate a white guy? I mean, have you ever seen a black guy come up to you? Hey, guys, how are you doing, fellas? Hey, what's going on? Hey, bros. Hey, what's going on here, bud? You guys okay, man? Hey, bud. Hey, man, that's really beautiful tie you got there, buddy. How's that going there, pal? But look, I'm not trying to clown a guy as much as I'm just trying to say, look here, man. Black men are not desiring to be like white guys. But everybody is so dead set on arguing that this is what black men are busy about doing. How the fuck do you know? How about trying to have a conversation with us? How about actually talking to us to find out where we are? How about not being so aggressive, alienating, and deprecating to us? How about asking us what your ambitions are, what it is you're trying to do, why y'all motherfuckers are so off-putting and so assholish that nobody even wants to fucking stand next to you. Look, Kyle Reisman says, why dude got them auntie glasses on? Well, because, you know, he is auntie here and there. You know? And look, man, I'm not here to try to put gay people on blast, man. If that's what you want to do, man, go on do it. That's you. I'm not on that. But you can be on that all day long. I don't know anybody who's black who's ever put gay people in fucking chains. I just don't know any. I don't know any black people who have systematically told other black gay people that they can't come around. You better stay your ass somewhere else. Don't come around me or else I'm going to get your ass. I'm going to beat the shit out of you. I've never seen other black people do that, man. I've never seen it. Now, some of you may have seen it. I just never have. And I don't come from a family like that. I just don't. I've never seen that kind of behavior extended towards anybody that's gay. I personally haven't seen it. Some of you motherfuckers got some issues with your own family members, is what the fuck you got going on. What the fuck you went through with your family ain't got shit to do with me. And while you bullshitting, some of these black women that you talking about, that you adore so much, that are the apple of your motherfucking eye, let me tell you something about some of these women here, man. Because they'll be some of the first motherfuckers to clown your gay ass. Why you bullshitting? They'll be some of the first motherfuckers to call you out for being gay or to put you on blast for being gay. So let me just clear something up, man. Let me just keep it 100, right? Look, there are some black men who are homophobic, okay? Not homophobic to the point where they're afraid of gay people, but they just don't like them. That's true. I'll admit it, okay? But there's also some black women who don't like gay people either. I just don't understand why all of this shit is set on the lap of black men so that black men have to absorb it all. I mean, I feel like Christ here, you know, take this and drink it. It is my blood, and I give it up for you. I feel like I'm the body of Christ and you're about to consume my flesh so that everybody else can walk around like it's business as usual. Like they don't have any problems in the world. They don't have any sins on their jacket at all. They just walking around this motherfucker blameless and blemishless. What the fuck is that? I don't understand it. But I digress. Next up, next white knight. No, black knight. Sorry. It's a man by the name of Marlon Peterson. He puts out a podcast called Decarcerated Podcast. The Decarcerated Podcast. So maybe the guy's done some time. I don't know. Okay? But whatever reason, for whatever reason, he has this podcast, and the powers that be in the black male ranks of the Gynocracy have decided to give him a platform to express himself. So it is what it is. So what does Mr. Marlon Peterson have to say about black men and politics? Well, Mr. Marlon Peterson says that in response to the notion that black men are an endangered species, he basically denies the claim. So if someone were to have a conversation with this man in the barbershop and someone says, you know, look, I'm voting for Trump because Trump has done some things for black people, whereas Biden, Kamala Harris, even, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, they call black men super predators. And, it's like open season for black men out here on the streets. So, in other words, black men are public enemy number one. 5 votes said freeze, and I got numb. That we got a problem in this culture and in this society. So, Mr. Marlon Peterson says, well, first of all, why are you referring to yourself as an animal? You're not an animal. But, I thought that human beings were part of animal life. I didn't know that, like, human beings were not animals. I thought we were, like, Homo sapiens, like part of a species of animal that has the ability to communicate in ways that other animals don't. However, we still are. I thought we were members of the fucking animal kingdom. I thought we were. But I mean, I guess, maybe the guy's a Christian. I don't know. I have no idea. But the next thing he says is that all black people, whether they be trans, gay, or women, are harmed by all the same issues as black men. Namely, that there's nothing black men suffer that nobody else is suffer from. I thought the same thing when women say, well, we're suffering from rape and, we suffer from the patriarchy and we suffer from abuse. You don't think black men go through that shit either? Huh? I guess everything you go through, but everything we go through, you go through too. So there's nothing unique that black men go through, according to Marlon Peterson, that everyone else doesn't go through. That black trans people don't go through, that black women don't go through, or that gay black people go through. Like there's nothing that black men go through that none of these other groups go through. Okay? That's what he's saying now in this meeting. And he says that white supremacy does not pick out heterosexual men. Oh my God, man. Bruh. What type of shit is that, man? Bruh. That's a great big fucking fail, man. Man, that's just some false shit right there, man. I mean, come on, bro. Bro, white supremacy does pick out heterosexual men. It does. Now, you can say it doesn't, but where's your data? All you said is, it doesn't happen that way. White supremacy doesn't pick out heterosexual men. What does it pick out? Gay men? What does it pick out? Black women? What the fuck does it pick out? And how do you know what it is picking out? Just getting in a fucking circle and saying it's so and repeating it 3 times and clicking your fucking heels till you get to goddamn Kansas? All I'm trying to say is, man, I don't want to be on this all night, though. But look, white supremacy does not pick out black men, huh? Okay. All right. Then he says, Trump has spoken badly about black people despite any good he may have done with any policies that he has ever created throughout the context of his presidency. So in other words, all of the shit that he said about black people is too much to be forgiven. And it's too much to be overlooked. But all the shit that Biden and Harris did, we can look over that. We can basically say, oh, I love you, Mr. Biden. Go ahead and touch the girl on the pussy. Oh, we love you, Mr. Biden. Oh, I know you put a whole bunch of niggas in jail, but we still love you, Biden. Oh, Biden, you can't do no wrong. If I don't vote for you, I ain't black. Now let me stop being silly here, man. Look, you know me. I just talk shit, okay? So look, let me take it back to seriousness, okay? Let me rewind this and bring it back, and let me just keep it serious here, okay? Trump has spoken badly about black people, and I admit that. But I also understand that Biden has done the same thing. This is why Ice Cube has made the comment that in actuality, there's no difference between Biden nor Trump. In actuality, I mean, they're two sides to the same coin. They both represent white supremacy. I don't understand why people aren't able to comprehend this and see it for what it is. So while black men who are siding with Trump, and let's just be honest about this. Before the conversation began, and look, I have to, although I hate to do it, I have to give Kimberly Crenshaw some credit for at least admitting that the two demographics that vote for the Democrats the most are black women and black men. That's just the facts. Black women vote for the Democratic Party at a rate of 90%. That's the loyalty that they have for the Democratic Party. Whereas black men fall in somewhere around 83%. So, I mean, every other demographic varies in their allegiance to political parties. But black people have put all of their eggs in one basket and haven't made very many demands of either party. Now, when you have that kind of blind loyalty to anybody for any reason, if it's an institution, whether it's a person, it doesn't matter. It could be anything, a car, a job, anything. That person has a hold on you. Do you understand what I'm telling you when I say this? Blind loyalty with no returns or no reciprocity means that you are consenting to be abused. Black men, maybe perhaps if you wanted to know, in case you didn't know, black men have a host of issues that at the current moment are being pushed to the periphery in order to make room for you and all of your rants and all of your claims of how bad and pernicious we are. And black men are tired of it. At some point, you can hear but so much before you say to yourself, look, I've heard enough of this bullshit. I don't have to sit around here and take this fucking goddamn abuse anymore. Maybe I'll go somewhere else where I'll be appreciated. Maybe your recalcitrance, your constant issuing of diatribes and invectives towards our demographic, perhaps that's the reason why we don't want to have shit to do with you motherfuckers. Now, let me just say this, man. Look, again, making it serious again. When you make claims about whether or not people are subjected to oppression, more or less, or whether they are oppressors, more or less, than any other demographic, you need to be able to demonstrate this point or the points you're making with data. It's important. But a lot of times, these arguments are coming from places that are predicated on anecdotes, their own personal experiences, their own friends and their close associates. And look, you can begin to talk about or discover a phenomena or make sense of a phenomena, but you still have to make longer strides or take longer strides towards actually being able to understand that phenomena in comparison with other phenomena that's taking place with it at the same time. It seems like to me what is happening is black men are being bombarded with series after series of narcissistic people who only give a fuck about what happens to or impacts them and their lives without giving a fuck about what's happening to ours. And it's about time for that to change. Black men are not going to be quiet and silent anymore. They're going to step up and say what they have to say. And when I come back, I'm going to take you on a deep break, quick little break. But when I come back, we're going to see some data. And then we'll finish this presentation, man. I'll be right back. Okay, people, we are back. In case you didn't know, I'm the G with a PhD, and you're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel, the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up, no chaser. Sometimes you're going to hear things on this channel which might seem off-putting, but this is the place where black men can express themselves freely. I wish they would have a conversation with me on this motherfucking channel, because I've been trying to have these kind of conversations the whole time through. But nobody wants to talk. Nobody wants to have the conversation. Nobody wants to step in and actually have a roundabout, because that's the way you resolve conflict. You talk your way through it, or else you fight your way through it. But these people don't want to talk. All they're doing is talking to white people and shit. Telling them, look at the bad niggas. Look at them bad niggas. Them niggas is bad. Them people bad, bad, bad. Come on, man. We have to be better than this. We have to be better than this. We should be better than this. But we're not. So let me just show you some graphics, man. Now, this brother, man, Marlon Peterson, basically says that all black people are harmed by all the same issues as black men. Okay, let's just say that that's true. Okay, let's just say it's true. But are they harmed to the same degree? Huh? Are they harmed to the same degree? I would hazard a guess and say no. Why do I say this? Because if you look at the data, this is data developed by the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences of the United States of America. Okay, so what's the lifetime risk of being killed by police per 100,000 people? So when it comes to Asian and Pacific Islanders, they're Gucci, man. They ain't got too much to worry about. When it comes to white men, they have the least amount to worry about at all, except for Asian or Pacific Islanders. Okay? Nobody finds these guys threatening at all. Okay? Now, Latinos, slightly more than that of their white counterparts. Now, when it comes to American Indians, man, they got a problem with those people, probably because of the history of colonialism. And there's mistrust there. But hey, that's just my guess. But when it comes to African Americans, they have the biggest lifetime risk of being killed by police per 100,000 people in the United States, more than any other demographic. But we want to sit here and talk about how everybody's exposed to the same kind of risk. Everybody is subjected to the same kind of oppression. Look at the numbers. Now, when you talk about black men versus black women, you can see that the numbers are a lot different. Now, black women may be the most out of all groups of women, but they aren't, because Native American women are killed by police more than African American women. They're the largest group. Native American women. They're killed by police more than any other group of women. But we know for a fact that African American women are not killed by police to the same degree or number as that of black men. We know this. This is not trying to play oppression Olympics. It's a material fact, an empirical material fact about the way the world is. It's a phenomenon suffered by men predominantly who are black. So we can't have a conversation about that. We can't try to mitigate that problem. We can't have the capacity to talk about and discuss this problem to the world and amongst ourselves. We need to have Brittany Cooper ass talking about it for us. What the fuck? I would hazard to guess that Brittany Cooper is not qualified to have a competent conversation or a fair and an equitable conversation about black men being killed by the police when she continuously goes off on black men and has a very nasty and persnickety attitude when it comes to black men. Why would she be on a news show talking about black male death? Shouldn't there be expert black men who are explicating the problem, who are having conversations about it? Don't you think that would be in order, or that would be fitting more so than having a black feminist talk about it? But I guess in the pecking order of the black gynocracy, you can't do so. So we're talking about the risk of being killed by police. But not just that, let's talk about being incarcerated. So this chart is developed by the Prison Policy Initiative, which you see there in red. Okay? So in 2000, and this is 2020, so this is 20 years ago. Okay? Well, we're talking about at the height of mass incarceration. This is what we're talking about. We're having a discussion about what occurred during the height of mass incarceration. Okay? During the height of mass incarceration, white females per 1,000 are locked up relative to where everyone else is. Look, white males, slightly more than African American women. But black men, the chart goes off the fucking Richter scale here, buddy. Well, there's no Richter scale, but you get what I'm saying. So the chart is higher, or you see that there's a higher likelihood or a higher number of black men who are locked up per 100,000 than there are any other demographic. Larger than the amount of women, larger than the amount of white men. Almost how many times the rate of white men? 7 times the rate of white men? That's a problem. That is a problem. And it's something uniquely suffered by black men. And nobody wants to talk about it, or maybe we've already discussed it and talked about it enough. I guess there's no reason to continue to talk about it. So we got somebody, man, in the back of the house right now. I don't know who this person is, but let's bring him to the fore right quick. You can't stay long, so you got a comment to make, you can make it, because I still got some things to get through. Megatron Meta, what's good? Megatron Meta, are you there?
What's good, G? What's good? What's peace? Peace. I was just listening. I'm
What's
cool,
cracking?
man. I'm all right, man. What's cracking?
Talk to me, man. You live on the live stream. You came your ass up in here. What's good, brother?
Shoot, I just wanted to listen from the StreamYard because it was better than the Facebook link. I didn't really have much to say in addition. I mean, you already are saying enough. The information
okay, well, let me
duck you.
Well, go ahead and listen in, man. Sit on back there.
All right, bet.
Peace. So you that's crazy to me, man. But anyway, thank you, JBA. Mega Montana, that might be the guy who I just got through speaking with. I appreciate you and your donations, man. Appreciate that. But anyway, next chart. This chart here is a chart of females. And it demonstrates, or it's an illustration there of that which from the ages of 15 to 45, like what causes the greatest amount of death for them. Okay? Now you see all the red dots are homicide. Now this chart was given to me by Dr. Tia San Johnson. Okay? All the red are homicide. All the blue are unintentional injuries. We don't know what they are. Accidents and shit like that. The green is suicide. Okay? Now look at the leading causes for black women and look at the numbers. For 1 to 4, there's like 1,300. 5 to 9, 396. 10 to 14, 468. 15 to 24, 5,000, somewhere around 6,000. From 15 to 34, 6,000. 35 to 44, somewhere around 5,000. Okay? When it comes to suicide, from 10 to 14, about 300. 15 to 24, around about 1,600 or so, maybe 1,700. And then the age group from 25 to 35, somewhere close to 2,000, 1,800. Okay? Now let's look at the same numbers for black men and see what the numbers are. Now I'm not really worried about unintentional injury as much as I am worried about homicide. So you see that from the ages of 1 to 4, the numbers are pretty similar to that of black women or black females. Slightly higher, but not that much higher. The same for the age group from 5 to 9 and from 10 to 14. However, as soon as that boy gets past the age of 14, the increase in his likelihood that he will be killed by homicide is astronomical in relation to that of their black female counterparts. So we're talking about 53,000. It's the leading cause of death for black men between the ages of 50, or black males between the ages of 15 to 24 and 25 to 34. We're talking about somewhere around 50,000 people being killed. Now let's go back so you can compare it again. We're talking about 10 times the amount of death related to homicide. But nobody wants to have a conversation about this and talk about this from a black male perspective. We just need to consult with women because black men are just trying to be like white people. And if they stop trying to be like white people, then we'd have less homicide. Like, does that make fucking sense? Explain it to me. I'm having a hard time understanding that shit. Complex problems require complex solutions. Well, not necessarily, but I think in this situation it does. Okay? And we at least need to listen to men to figure out what's going on. Because I think the analysis that's being offered from black feminists is, as far as I'm concerned, is just too simplistic. It's not nuanced. And it has no bearing on the reality of black men's lives because black women don't live black men's lives. They don't know what it's like to be out here on the streets. I was in college, man. I was 20 years old when a guy pulled a gun on me, man. Could have shot and killed me, man. The guy hit me in the face with the gun, knocked out one of my teeth. I always have to walk around the earth with a fake ass tooth in my mouth because of that moment in time. I was somewhere in New Orleans doing some shit. And I'm not going to say I didn't have business doing it. It was a party. But the man got upset. I guess he saw his girlfriend around other guys. And then all of a sudden some shit popped off. I'm not going to talk about the whole ordeal. But one of the people I was with had a gun also. I never had owned a gun up until that point that I got hit in the face with one. After that, I'm like, fuck it. Damn right I'm packing guns. Because shit can go sour out here. Real quick. Your life could be over in a fucking flash of an eye. Living life to the fullest, I never know when God gonna pull it. In the blink of an eye, faster than the speed and bullet. You don't know when God gonna take it. It ain't something we doing because we trying to be like white men. It's some shit out here that's real, man. This ain't got shit to do with white men. It's ridiculous to try to compare that to white men. The numbers of suicide, look at the rate of suicide, man. We talking about numbers close to 10,000. Whereas with the women, it's somewhere around 1,800 at the highest. Look at these numbers for suicide for black men. The ages of 15 to 24, it's almost to 9,000. It's like 80, almost 8,600. For the age group of 25 to 34, the suicide number is somewhere near 9,500. I'm sorry, 9,500. For the age group of 35 to 44, it's somewhere around 7,000. It's some trauma black men are going through. And nobody's discussing it. That's problematic in and of itself. But we don't want to have a discussion predicated upon data. We want to talk about some shit that some white motherfuckers made up and use it in order to try to measure what the fuck is going on with black people's lives. That's some mismatched bullshit, man. Y'all need to go back to the drawing board, man. More harm is done between heterosexual black men than harm that comes anyway between you motherfuckers. Look, let me just be honest here. See, some people don't want to tell the truth about the nature of reality in the world we live in. They want to act like the only people that engage in violent actions are white men. White men ain't the only violent motherfuckers out here, or have been. You ever heard of Genghis Khan? Shit. I mean, let's just be honest. We act like the only conquerors have been white men. That's just not the case. It's not true. You understand? Like, you ever heard of Hannibal? What about all the Egyptian pharaohs or Kemetic pharaohs that had scepters in their hand, and they were grabbing the hair of their enemies and smiting them to fucking death on bas reliefs? I'm just saying, man, look, we have to start being real about the way the world is. And we can't change it with Christian ideals and principles about how we want the world to be. That's just an offshoot, to me, of Platonic idealism. I don't really want to get into it right now because that'll be too much to walk through. But you can't bend the world to your will just because you want it. No more, again, as I said, than you can get to Kansas by clicking your heels 3 times and think you're going to be able to transport yourself there. This ain't the Wizard of Oz. You're not Dorothy. This is what happens when you do political musing without having a deep-seated and a thoroughgoing understanding of the natural world, about biology, anthropology, history, social science. We have to understand the world we live in and not play make-believe with people's lives. That's how people get hurt, man. So at any rate, we come last but not least to Kisei Layman. He's a professor of English at Old Mississippi University. And what does Kisei have to say about this? I mean, look, I can't say what he has to say because during the early part of his conversation, he was kind of vague, and, he wasn't really being clear and concise as far as I'm concerned. He became more clear and intelligible towards the end of the discussion. But by then, I kind of lost my ear for what it is that he had to say and articulate. But for the most part, this is what he says in the earlier portions of the talk or the conversation. He says, how seductive is patriarchy and whiteness? How seductive is it? How seductive is it? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like this, I don't understand this kind of conversation. I just don't even get it. I've never heard black men say, I want to be like a white guy. They just want to be able to have the same kind of material comfort that everybody else has. They want to be able to function, to thrive, and to flourish within the context of the culture in which they live. You don't see black women trying to be different when they go for power. They're going for the gusto. Nobody says, oh, look at that black girl. She's trying to be like a white woman or like a white man. Nobody says that shit as she grasps for power or as they power grab, often with unscrupulous means. Because if you ask me the question, I'm just going to be perfectly honest to you or honest with you. I was there in the city of St. Louis when the shit popped off in Ferguson, Missouri. I don't know who the fuck that woman is. Who the fuck is Alicia Garza? Nobody knew who the fuck she was. She didn't start this movement. All she did was assume the position of leadership after white people gave her the appointment of the leadership. This wasn't an organic and a natural thing, like, say, for example, the Black Panther Party. It wasn't natural and organic like that. You had a group of people who came up with a fucking branding, a brand, a hashtag. And people who are on the ground in Ferguson got left out of the shit. These guys were actually fighting against the patriarchy that you're talking about. How seductive is it? That's just spitting in the face of these people, man. It's spitting in the face of Durham Seals, man. You know what I'm saying? It's spitting. It's spitting in these guys' faces, man. Activists who died, who are not getting any credit whatsoever. No one's discussing them. Motherfuckers getting deals at Warner Brothers and shit. These motherfuckers are dead. I'm talking about DeAndre Joshua. I'm talking about Sean Gray. I'm talking about Durham Seals. I'm talking about Edward Crawford Jr. I'm talking about Danye Jones. I'm talking about Basim Masri. They're dead. They were actually on the ground getting their hands dirty. They ain't got no fucking Warner Brother deals. How seductive is the black, is the white patriarchy and the whiteness? Come on, man. Then he says, people who support Trump are dangerous. Really? Really? Because the last time I checked, it's police killing motherfuckers in these Democratic areas too. I didn't know that. The last time I checked, both the Democrats and the Republicans have a horrible record as it pertains to treating black people with dignity and respect. The last time I checked, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, I have more to worry about from the white liberal than I have to from the from the white conservative. The last time I checked, Malcolm X said the same shit. That black people basically get used like a damn political football. But see, we don't want to have real conversations. All we want to do is have conversations that are centered around the same language. The same language. Then he goes on to say, I don't want to give myself a pat on the back because I don't think like a patriarch. Well, what do you think like? What do you think like? Do you think like a concuserve? Do you think that you need to worship women? Look here, man. My mama's dead, man. I don't worship human beings. If they shit like I shit, and if they piss like I piss, they're not worthy of worship. You see, here's my deal, man. It doesn't matter as far as I'm concerned. You can't take pieces and bits of theory and jam them together and think that I don't understand it. I've read the Combahee River Collective more than one occasion, more than two occasions, more than three, more than four, more than five. I done read the shit more probably than the average feminist has read it. And I do know contained within the pages of the Combahee River Collective is that women just want to be treated as equally. Those women particularly want to be treated equally just like men. They don't want to walk 10 steps behind. They don't want to be put on a pedestal. And they don't want to be regarded as queens. So what the fuck you regarding them as queens for and putting them on a goddamn pedestal? They're human beings. I'm going to treat them just like I would treat a man. You acting like a man, I'm going to treat you just like one. Anyway, man, then the guy says we need to separate ourselves from the danger of patriarchy. And look, this is the fucked up thing to me. I said this before, again and again, and this is something Hybrid Vigor said earlier, right? And I've been watching the chat. I've been eyeballing it, but I can't give it an undevoted amount of attention. But I've been eyeballing it. I've been looking at it askance. Here's the deal, man. Patriarchy is not necessarily pernicious any more than women being in positions of power is absolutely and necessarily benevolent and harmless. So let me repeat that. Just because a woman is in a position of power doesn't mean that she's going to be safe in that position of power for other black people. And just because a man is in power who's black, namely a black father, doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be harmful as he exercises authority and power within the domain of the household. I just don't understand what people don't get about this. Both men and women are fallible. Both men and women can exercise domination or control over other people. It's not just something that women or men do. It's something that men and women do who are fucking dysfunctional. But we want to put a gender on it. And we want to put a sexual preference on it. Because you got to hang up about your own sexual preference. You're talking about a group of men who really don't give a fuck about you, but who you give so much of a fuck about that you're willing to decide with these motherfuckers over your own self-interest because you hate your own kind that much. What the fuck is wrong with y'all, man? The Thriller, thank you for the donation, sir. I appreciate that. Also, oh, that's it. But look, it's a Friday night, man. I'm just trying to bless you with a little bit of knowledge. That's the end of that, man. I'm trying to bless you with a little bit of knowledge, man. The white knights are out here. And basically, they agree with anything that these women say. They'll have you believing that you're fucked up. That there's something regressive about you. That your desire to function, to flourish, to thrive, and to live arrogantly and exuberantly. That your desire to grab the bull by the horns on life is something fucked up. That's slave morality to me. So you want a whole bunch of what? What kind of men? Limp noodles and shit? Laying at the beach with fucking handbags and shit? That's what you want, right? Now, I'm not saying that anybody can't. If that's what you own, you can do it. Do it to death. Do it because you love it. That's you. But I'm no more dangerous than anyone else. It's a lot of dangerous women out here. A whole bunch of dangerous women out here. Don't get it twisted. White, black, red, brown, everything in between. I told you yesterday, man, about a white woman who put her fucking baby in the freezer. The kid was 8 months old. Put the baby in the fucking freezer. There's another black woman who hit a fucking kid with a tire rod. Killed the boy. I think the boy was 3 years old. Recently, black man got ran over by his girlfriend. She spat on him while he laid in a fucking pool of blood and hit him with the bumper while she was cursing him out. So can women do some nasty shit out here? Yes, they can. Do men do nasty shit out here? Yes, they do. But I have a problem with everyone affixing, connecting, and tying pathology to black men, as if there's no more pathology in the world or in the black community other than that coming from straight black men. And we're going to talk about it. You want to talk about the barbershop? Bring your fucking ass into my barbershop. It's my invitation to Kisei, Marlon, whoever the fuck. Come into the dojo. Bring your ass on up in here. And we can have a conversation. We can have a kickback and talk about it. And that goes for anybody. Feminists, whoever. This goes for Wade Davis. It goes for Luke Charles Harris, Kisei Layman, Alvin Starks, whoever the fuck. It doesn't matter. Because if you want to have real conversations, we got to have some real motherfucking conversations. But I guess y'all really don't want to have real conversations. You want to have conversations where you're comfortable. That's what you want to do. You want to stay with your Lanez blanket. You want to stay in your safety zone. Come out your safety zone. That's what democracy is, having conversations, even difficult ones. Anyway, man, it's a Friday night, man. I wasn't going to even talk this goddamn long. I'm tired of talking, man. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see y'all next time, man. Y'all be good. Peace.
I know you player haters gon' hate, cause I'm at the finish line and I'm in the first place. I'm a winner, and I know I'll never lose, cause I'm way too ahead of you, dude. I know you player haters gon' hate, cause I'm at the finish line and I'm in the first place. I'm a winner, and I know I'll never lose, cause I'm way too ahead of you, dude. I'm turning. Okay, here I go. Guaranteed to be the leader of the race, come in first place. Put the pedal to the metal, let it burn, then I blow up in your face for the boom of the big bass. Turn around, nigga, pop face. Nigga, turn up the track, nigga, hurt with a burnt face. Fuck a nigga, cause he gon' hate. Put some pimpin' in his cup, set him out for the date rate. I go, I blaze, throw grenades in the party till I'm clearing out the whole place. Who got that rock money loan? You can hear it in my tone that I own, you don't know me. Better run, nigga, bustle like a gun. Ain't a motherfucker nigga that can hold me. I'm tired of nigga suckin', find your bitch so she can blow me. Ain't nobody never chase like the young boy, many bomb boys, and he hit like a donkey. And he roll with a convoy with them hot toys. If you really wanna get it jumpin'. I blow that monkey, that hairy back green gorilla. Take it through the nose, put it on my mind, I'm a beast like Michael Jackson Thriller. Your boys are trippin', I ain't here until you're speaking something. Don't do too much because your pussies always do it for me. Yeah, get it good, get it like I should. All the hating motherfuckers better keep it coming. Put them all in a barn, throw a bomb, and that motherfucker leave they body slumping. I know you player haters gon' hate, cause I'm at the finish line and I'm in the